बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद तमाम पत्रकार बंधुओं का इस सभागार में इस विशेष प्रेस वार्ता में कांग्रेस पार्टी की तरफ से तहे दिल से स्वागत है। आप लोगों का धन्यवाद कि आप अपना इतना कीमती समय निकालकर यहाँ पर आए हैं। आज हमारे बीच में पंजाब के पूर्व मंत्री और हमारे बीच में पूर्व केंद्रीय मंत्री पी चिदम्बरम साहब संबोधित करेंगे। मैं समझता हूँ कि सीधा हम चिदम्बरम साहब को सुने और विभिन्न विषयों का जो भी आपके सवाल होंगे हम वन बाई वन लेंगे। उम्मीद करता हूँ शांति से हम एक सवाल लेंगे तो उत्तर देंगे हम कर पाएंगे। उसकी साथी को सवाल पूछना हो, कोई भी सवाल होगा हम सीधा लेंगे। आप हाथ उठाइएगा, उसके बाद हम सवाल लेते हुए चलेगा। मैं निवेदन करूँगा चिदम्बरम साहब से कि वो आगे की प्रेस वार्ता की जाएगी। माननीय चिदम्बरम साहब।
On me with the dais is Shri Rana Gurjeet Singh, Shri Alok Sharma, Shri Amit Baba Saini, Shri Keval Binger, and Shri Rana Chahar, my colleagues. I've come to address you in connection with the Haryana elections. Elections are barely 19 days away. The candidates have been nominated, and I think that the campaign will pick up shortly. As a curtain opener, I want to make a few comments on the situation of Haryana and the issues faced by the Haryana electorate. First, I want to say a few words about agriculture. Haryana is essentially agriculture dependent. In fact, 70% of the population of Haryana is in one way or other dependent on agriculture. The average household debt in Haryana was 122 rupees in 2019, and in the last 5 years it must have increased even more, although no data is available. 32% of the agricultural debt is owed to professional money lenders, not to institutional lenders. My comment is that the government of Haryana in the last 10 years has totally failed in providing agricultural credit to the farmers. Take the the PM Kisan scheme. The number of beneficiaries was 16.5 lakhs in 2019-20. It's fallen to 15.3 lakhs in 23-24. Why? And as I pointed out several times, the PM Kisan scheme is not extended to tenants. Why are tenant cultivators any less than owner cultivators? In fact, 32% of all agricultural land in India, and more or less the same in Haryana, is cultivated by tenant farmers, and they don't get the benefit of PM Kisan scheme. We have raised this several times. There is no answer from either the Honorable Prime Minister or the country. It's a failure in Haryana. And the number of farmers registered under Fasal Bima Yojana in Haryana was 8.88 lakh, 8,88,000 in 2021. It's fallen to 7,64,000 in 22-23. Why are farmers reluctant to register under the scheme? There is an even more damaging statistic. The area insured under Fasal Bima Yojana in Haryana was 22.5 lakh hectares in 1920. It is now only 15.5 lakh hectares in 22-23. 7 lakh hectares that was covered 4 years ago is not covered now. As you know, Haryana farmers were at the forefront of the farmers' agitation against the 3 farm laws. The government of Haryana under Mr. Khattar unleashed repression and violence against the farmers. In fact, sitting in Chennai or Delhi, Singhu, Tikri, Ghazipur became household names throughout the country. Lathi charges were unleashed. According to one report, even pellet guns were used. 250 FIRs were registered against farmers, some for crimes which they never committed. The suppression of the democratic rights of farmers is part of the anti-democratic character of the BJP. This is the point that I wish to emphasize. BJP does not run a democratic government. What's happening in all India and what the central government is doing is too well known for me to recite here today. But the anti-democratic attitude of the Haryana government is of the same character as the Modi government in Delhi. The farmers were not only fighting for their democratic rights, they were fighting for the democratic rights of all the people of India. I submit to the people of Haryana, farmers and agriculture cannot get justice from the BJP government. The best way the farmers can punish what has happened over the last 10 years is to throw out the BJP government in the next election. I want to say a few words about another explosive issue, unemployment. Haryana has a peculiar distinction. The highest unemployment rate in the country is in Haryana. According to CMI, it is 37.4% is the unemployment rate in Haryana. Even the government's own periodic labor survey report places Haryana's unemployment rate at 9%, while according to that PLFS, the national average is 4.1. So Haryana's official unemployment rate is twice the national average. The BJP government of the state does not care, either Mr. Khattar or Mr. Saini. The All State Government Employees Federation has put out a damning statistic that has not been denied by the state government. There are 4.5 lakh regular posts in Haryana government and Haryana government bodies. 2.7 lakhs are filled by regular employees. 1.8 lakhs are vacant for many years. Why? Just as in the central government, we pointed out in the National Manifesto before the Lok Sabha elections, several lakh posts are vacant. In Haryana, a small state, a relatively small state, 1.8 lakh sanctioned posts are vacant. I'll give you an example. In government colleges in Haryana, there are 7,896 sanctioned posts of assistant professor. 7,896. Of this, 4,618 are vacant. 60% of sanctioned posts are vacant. Only a few days ago, when I wrote about it, we saw the sad spectacle of an advertisement for sweeper's position. 15,000 fixed salary per month on a contract basis, not a regular job. 3,95,000 youth of Haryana applied for the post. Of that number, 6,112 were postgraduates. 39,990 were graduates. And 1,17,144 had completed class 12. Such is the situation in Haryana that for a sweeper's post on a contract basis at 15,000 rupees per month, all these people have to apply. The facts speak for themselves. I don't have to make any comment. Haryana youth want to join the defense forces. But the Agniveer scheme, a retrograde scheme, it harms the defense forces, it harms our military preparedness, it harms the youth. That is a deterrent to Haryana youth joining the army or the air force or the navy. I want to remind the people of Haryana that in the Congress manifesto of 2024, we promised that if the Congress comes to power, the Agniveer scheme will be abolished. We can't do much by winning a state government, but our state government in Haryana, the Congress government in Haryana, will put pressure on the central government to abrogate the Agniveer scheme. The unemployment situation in Haryana is the principal reason why 29% of Haryana youth migrate to other states. The drug problem is also caused by unemployment. Unemployment has many, many implications. One is migration, one is the drug problem. Unless you attack and tackle the problem of unemployment, it's not possible to stop migration or to crack down on the drug menace. Now I want to touch upon the third important subject, and that's the last, economy. As far as I am able to see, Haryana's economy is in a shambles. Manufacturing is languishing in Haryana. In 22-23, of all the bank-assisted projects sanctioned by the banks, only 1% came to Haryana. 99% of bank-assisted projects went to other states. 278 MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises, have closed down post-pandemic. Worse is the state is in a debt trap. The state's public debt has increased from about rupees 71,000 crore in 14-15 to 3,17,982 crore in 24-25. That's an increase of 348%. How the state will finance its public debt, how much of its total revenue will go to interest expenditure, I have not calculated, but I'm sure somebody will calculate and the number will be an enormous number. Now, growth is the antidote to public debt. If the state grows at a faster pace, the public debt will come down over a period of years. But unfortunately, Haryana's growth is flagging. In terms of gross value addition, Haryana's growth rate in agriculture is only 4.4%. And the growth rate of industry is only 7.2%. At 4.4% agricultural growth and 7.2% industry growth, this public debt cannot be wiped out. What we need is a government that will give a fillip to agriculture and industry and grow at close to double digit and if possible achieve a double digit growth rate. Haryana has also another distinction. In terms of inflation, in terms of unemployment, it is the highest unemployment rate. In terms of inflation, it is the second highest rate in the country. Retail inflation in Haryana in July 24 is 8.38%. That's the official number. On the streets and in the bazaar and in the shopping area, you will find that prices have increased even more than 8.38%. The result is what? 10 years of BJP rule. Out of the 2.86 crore population of Haryana, according to my data, 1.8 crore are classified as below the poverty line. That is 63% of the population of Haryana is classified as below the poverty line. The BJP boasts of a double-engine sarkar. There's one engine supposedly working from Delhi, there's one engine supposedly working in Chandigarh, the capital of Haryana. My comment is, one engine is without fuel. The other engine is completely broken down. So what is the use of a double engine government with one engine run out of fuel and one engine completely broken down? The time has come to junk the two engines and save the passengers in the train. I promise you the Congress government in Haryana will bring back Haryana's growth rate, will give a fillip to development, agriculture, industry, will tackle the issues of unemployment and inflation, and will give a good government for 5 years. I'm told by my colleagues the Congress manifesto is likely to be released this week. The Congress manifesto, when it is released, will contain the promises and the guarantees, and there will be more opportunities to speak about what kind of government we will give if the Congress is voted to power. My appeal to the people of Haryana is to vote the Congress to power. 10 years is long enough for a party to be in power. I personally believe, this is my personal conviction, that people must change a government once in 10 years. At least once in 10 years. If once in 5 years, I have no problem, but once in 10 years, a government must be changed. And this is the time for the people of Haryana to change the government and give the reins to the Congress party. Thank you. I'm willing to take questions. You can ask questions in English or Hindi. My colleagues will translate the Hindi questions to me, but I'm afraid I can only answer in English. Thank you.
One by one. Regarding the resignation of Kejriwal, how do you see it?
But that's a matter that concerns the people of Delhi. They have elected him as Chief Minister. He wants to resign. I don't know what next step. But I think the people of Haryana have no concern or any interest whether Mr. Kejriwal is Chief Minister of Delhi or not. One by one. I'm no hurry. One by one.
केजरीवाल हरियाणा में प्रचार करेंगे, इसका नुकसान होगा कांग्रेस को चुनाव में, आपको लगता है क्योंकि गठबंधन हुआ नहीं है, दोनों पार्टियां कांग्रेस और आम आदमी पार्टी सभी से अलग अलग लड़ रहे हैं, अरविंद केजरीवाल की रेट पर आने से क्या असर देख रहे हैं?
He will come in Haryana. So how do you see that it will impact?
That's pretty clear. The INDIA alliance was only for the central government, for the Lok Sabha poll. There was no intention to apply the India bloc to each state election. Therefore, if the AAP is not an ally of the Congress in Haryana, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the Lok Sabha poll. They had talks with the Congress. I think they were asking for a certain number of seats, and certain seats the Congress was offering some seats. They could not agree. So be it. Let him contest and we will contest. And we will contest on our policy platform. And I'm confident that the Haryana people, Haryana electorate will support the Congress. One by one, please.
One of your former colleague, has remarked on Rahul Gandhi as #1 terrorist.
Well, I don't take Mr. Bittu as seriously as you do. My suggestion to you is you should ignore him as I do ignore him.
Sir, two questions. One is the former Home Minister Anil Will has thrown his name, has thrown the hat in the ring, and he says he would be one of the faces for Chief Minister candidate. One, how do you see it? And my second is regarding the infighting within the Congress. And we've seen Kumari Sharja, Randeep Surjewala, the others. And the BJP has also been hitting out at Congress saying why no Dalit candidate as a CM face or anybody else other than Bhupendra Hooda.
I can answer the second part first. There is no dissonance in the Congress party. There are several leaders of a state unit of the Congress. That is not true of only Haryana. In every other state, there are 2 leaders, 3 leaders, 4 leaders. We respect all the leaders. And naturally, there will be a healthy competition among the leaders. But that does not mean there's dissonance. My good friend Selja ji has not said a word against Mr. Hooda, nor has Mr. Hooda said a word against Ms. Selja. So we are a united party. We will fight this election in a united manner, and we are confident that we will win the support of the people of Haryana. As far as Mr. Anil Vij throwing in his hat, it only shows this is a consequence of the Lok Sabha verdict. The Lok Sabha verdict has certainly put, what shall I say, speed breakers in Mr. Modi's juggernaut. And one of the fallout is the central BJP is losing control over the state BJP. I wouldn't be surprised if more people throw in their hats. And let them throw in their hats. It shows that the Haryana BJP is not united. He will point out. He will point out.
One by one.
I'm
We
here.
are not in a hurry.
I'm here. He will point out.
कमरन साहब, आपने जो विषय हरियाणा के संदर्भ में अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का, किसान और कर्ज का और इंडस्ट्री का जो रखा है, उसमें से एक विषय जो बार बार हरियाणा की विधानसभा के अंदर लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन मिस्टर सुंदर सिंह हुड्डा उठाते रहे और बाहर भी उठाते रहे। CMIE का जो आंकड़ा आपने दिया 37% जो परसेंट हरियाणा की बेरोजगारी है, दैट चीफ मिनिस्टर मनोहर खट्टर, उन्होंने विधानसभा के अंदर भी और विधानसभा के बाहर प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में भी जब हम ये सवाल पूछते थे तो ये कहते थे कि CMIE जो संस्था है उसके आंकड़े फर्जी हैं, उसका जो संचालन करता है, जो प्रबंधन है, मैनेजमेंट जो उसकी है, वो एक कांग्रेसी लीडर है, इसलिए हरियाणा के संदर्भ में ये आंकड़े फर्जी है। इस संदर्भ में आप क्या कहना चाहते हैं?
He's saying that Manoj Khattar has said that all the data is given by CMIE. We don't believe in that. All the people who are sitting in CMIE, they are Congress people. So how do you see it?
The first time I've heard any responsible politician say all the persons sitting in CMIE are congressmen. I know CMIE for many, many years. I don't have any congressmen sitting in the CMIE. CMIE, just a moment, madam. Please be patient. CMIE is a well-equipped, well-qualified organization which does work on data and based on data. It's respected throughout the economic world. CMIE data is relied upon even by other think tanks elsewhere in the world. I rely upon CMIE. In fact, official Government of India reports, I can point out, refer to CMIE data. So if the CMIE was bogus data, why should official Government of India reports refer to CMIE data? I believe CMIE data, but I've also given you PLFS data. I've given you both. I have not hid one according to, I've given you both. But I am inclined to believe CMIE data. Mr. Khattar, now that he is the minister in the center, when he does not have official data, what data will he turn to? I'm sure he will turn to CMI data.
Sir, you have been talking about that in the states, specifically in Haryana. But we have seen that during the election, a lot of freebies are being offered by the political parties, and we have seen the same financial crisis in Punjab also, and at the same time in Himachal also. How do you see that this debt of the state is also responsible for the political party because they are offering a lot of freebies?
See, each state is different. It's not the size of the public debt alone that matters. It is also the size of the public debt as a ratio to the GDP. Secondly, the interest service payments as a proportion of the GDP. Therefore, one state cannot be compared with the other. If I only look at the size of the public debt, it might appear comparable, but that's not so. All I'm pointing out is the size of the public debt in Haryana, its growth rate, its revenue resources, give me great worry and concern. It's not possible to service this size of public debt with this kind of low growth rate and with this kind of revenue. There has to be a radical change of approach to the public finances of Haryana when the government is in office and its economic advisors and its finance minister and its finance secretary will address that problem. So I don't think it's correct to compare one state with another state.
But what about the freebies which are being offered? What about the freebies which are being offered?
That again depends upon the revenue resources of the state. Now I don't know what the Haryana Congress manifesto will offer, but I'm confident that the Haryana PCC will do its homework before it makes the promises and guarantees. For example, I can say with great confidence that the promises made in the Congress's manifesto of 2024 were eminently doable. We had done the homework and we made the promises. And I'm sure the Haryana PCC, when it releases its manifesto, would have done the homework before it makes its promises.
Sir, Haryana Congress is a divided house in the state. And even party failed to come up with organization set up in last 10 years. Don't you think ongoing infighting will affect the party's mission to come to power?
I don't think the Haryana, from what I've gathered from my friends, I don't think the Haryana PCC is a divided house. I mean, there are leaders of high stature. Naturally, the leaders will ask for greater influence in the selection of candidates. But once the candidates have been selected and nominations have been made, I'm sure, I'm absolutely confident that all of them will pull together and campaign together and win the election for us. I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you that Haryana Congress is a divided house.
One by one. This is not the way. One by one, we are taking all the questions.
Come to everybody.
Why are you doing like
I'm
that?
here.
Ma'am,
I'm here. I'm not
one
going
question
away.
from this side, one question from this. Yes, ma'am, please.
Internationally, all prices where they are falling continuously, but still it's expensive in India. How do you see this?
She's saying that internationally crude oil prices are going down, why it is high in India.
Oh, that's because of the government of India's policy. When I was finance minister, crude had touched $135 a barrel. Today, I think yesterday it was $70 a barrel, Brent. So the government of India is raking in huge amount of money by tax on petrol and diesel. The government of India's main source of revenue is the taxes on fuel. because people have no option but to run their two-wheelers, to run their cars. States have no option but to run their buses. Farmers have no option but to run their tractors. Every time I go to a petrol station, I see 3 or 4 people cursing the government but filling their tanks. What else to do? And the government of India is exploiting the dependence of the people of India, of every section. Dependence of the people of India on oil and merrily taxing petrol and diesel.
Sir, I have 2 questions. One, will Congress come up with a CM face for the elections? They will announce who will be the CM face. And secondly, what are your views on one nation, one elections? Because it has been learned that it could be implemented this tenure by the government of India.
Just a
In
moment.
addition to this, reports are suggesting that one nation, one election to put in
No, that's a separate question. I'll answer that. Now, you asked about CM face. Normally, the Congress party does not announce a CM candidate before the election polling is over. The practice is election takes place, the MLAs gather, their preferences are asked, and then the High Command decides who will be the Chief Minister. I think that the same practice will be followed in Haryana.
Manveer ji from Times of India.
So one nation, one policy.
We are coming.
Don't worry. One nation, one election is not possible under the present constitution. It requires at least 5 constitution amendments. And Mr. Modi does not have the majority to put those constitution amendments in either the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. Therefore, I've seen some senior person of the BJP has anonymously briefed all the newspapers stationed in Delhi, and all the newspapers today carry the headline, "One nation, one election will be implemented in this term. And that's what Mr. Modi said when he passed the farm laws. But the farm laws were withdrawn. There are greater constitutional obstacles to the one nation, one election. It is not possible. And anyway, the India bloc is totally opposed to the one nation, one election.
Sir, being a former finance minister of the country.
Thank you for reminding me. I've forgotten it.
Okay, thank you. So, why the non-BJP states are facing financial crisis? Take example of Himachal Pradesh. Recently, the Prime Minister says, if you form the government in Haryana, the situation of Haryana will be same as the situation of Himachal Pradesh. Second question is the...
No, one question. I suppose you are one of those who believe everything that the Prime Minister says is gospel truth. I don't. Everything that the Prime Minister said is not necessarily
That's
true.
why I'm asking you, being a former Prime Minister.
I don't agree. I think Himachal Pradesh finances are being managed, and I don't think they have a management crisis of the finances. I don't agree with that assessment. And if you believe everything that the Prime Minister says, there will be a tax on buffaloes, Mangal Sutras will be taken away. All that was, I'm sorry to use the word, all that was rubbish electoral rhetoric. Tax on buffaloes, Mangal Sutra will be taken away, all your property will be distributed to those who have more children. All that was said only a few months ago. I didn't believe it. People of India didn't believe it.
So I have a
Just 1 minute.
He's calling, man.
सर इसी कड़ी में एक आगे मेरा सवाल है, अभी हाल में चित्रा में आए थे प्रधानमंत्री, उन्होंने एक सीधी आरोप भी किया कि अगर कांग्रेस और तो राहुल गांधी आरक्षण की व्यवस्था खत्म कर देंगे.
He said that Prime Minister had come to Kurukshetra and he has said that if Congress comes to the power, Rahul Gandhi will abolish the reservation.
Oh, that's again totally rhetoric which you should reject out of hand. Why should we abolish reservation? We are the ones who are saying that the ceiling of reservation of 50% must be removed. We are the ones who are asking for a caste census. We are saying reservation must be according to the population and need and justification. We are asking that the ceiling of 50% should be removed. And the Prime Minister is accusing us of abolishing reservation. I mean, don't believe everything that the Prime Minister says, please.
Yes,
Sir, after Loksabha election, it is widely believed that Congress is likely and Indian incumbency way with them. It's very strong. It has been believed. I will think it has been believed that Congress is believed that it's a very strong incumbency way. When you are going out and better, you're going to fight as electoral better, you need to have an army who could, hire for you. But at the booth level, in the absence of your infrastructure, when you don't have a proper booth management, when you don't have any leadership, how will Congress is going to fight this battle, this electoral battle? I agree, Congress stands united. I agree, Congress votes are very joint base, they are a very strong party, and more than that, in see there could be an activist also among the people against the government. But when you don't have a person and you don't have an infrastructure, how will you manage it? So just like Haryana in other states. This was the first question. The second was, I'm just giving an supplementary to my Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has been projected as Haryana ka Lal Kejriwal, and they want to replicate the Delhi model in Haryana. Given into account your understanding of the whole, will they be able to implement the thing? Will they be able to translate their policies to Haryana? This was my second question. And finally, do you think that TVs are really an incentive for people to can they really attract people?
I'm glad you accepted that there is an anti-incumbency.
I said it is believed.
All right. I'm glad you believe that there is an anti-incumbency mood in Haryana. That's right. In fact, Mr. Modi recognized there is an anti-incumbency mood. That's why he changed Mr. Khattar. And he brought in Mr. Saini in the last 6 months. Why would a party change its chief minister of 9.5 years in an election year? Please ask that question. The answer is, under Mr. Khattar, the BJP would have lost badly. Under Mr. Saini also, the BJP will lose badly. Now the people want a change. That's how my assessment is. People want a change. Yes, I agree that booth management can be better in all the states of India. I don't know the situation in Haryana. Let's assume that in some areas booth management is not adequate, but that will be made up by the people's mood. I have fought many elections. I have managed many elections in Tamil Nadu. If the mood of the people changes against the government and is in favor of the opposition party, you will find that a lot more people volunteer for election work in the last months. At the booth level, there will be people who are not party members who will volunteer for election work. I think the Haryana Congress, Haryana PCC is quite well equipped, and the leadership here is quite astute to to capitalize on the mood of the people and defeat the BJP.
As a former Union Home Minister, how would you look at the situation in Himachal where the Hindu organization is up in arms against the illegal mosque structure? Now this has spread over...
I'm not answering questions on Himachal. This is, as I said, the context is only Haryana elections. And since you have raised it, I'll answer it in one sentence. The mosque administration has agreed to dismantle anything which has been illegally constructed without permission. So that is out of the way. And anyway, there's no connection, I'm sorry, no connection with the Haryana election. Let's confine this press conference, please. Please to Haryana elections.
Sir, PM Modi said...
Just a moment. Last but one last. Just a moment. Yes.
Sir, PM Modi said if Congress is that much worried about agriculture and farmers, then why don't they implement their ideas in their own ruling states, such as Karnataka, Telangana? On the other hand, Haryana has implemented their ideas. Haryana is purchasing 24 crops from MSP. Why don't they do such things in their own states? Apart from this, 1,200 farmers died by suicide in Karnataka. He said these words.
See, Karnataka is not as agriculture dependent as Haryana, which is why in Haryana, when I'm speaking in Chandigarh, I put agriculture #1 issue. Karnataka Congress understands the problems of Karnataka. They have made 5 or 6 guarantees. The people supported the Congress. The Congress government has been formed and all the guarantees have been implemented. Show me one guarantee in Karnataka which has not been implemented. What about the promises made by Mr. Modi? Has he implemented all those promises? Has Mr. Khattar implemented the promises which he made in 2014 in the first 5 years? Therefore, don't compare one state with another state. Let's talk about Haryana. In Karnataka, we have implemented all the promises. None of you is able to point out one promise or one guarantee that has not been implemented. Which one?
1,200 farmers are dying there. It's a big issue. You cannot make it...
1,200 farmers are dying. We must go to Karnataka, find out why they are... I've got a number in Haryana. Did I mention that number? I didn't mention that number. I've got a number of suicides in Haryana, but I didn't mention that number. Because without knowing a matter, I can't speak about it. If there are farmer suicides in Karnataka, that's a matter of concern. But we must go to Karnataka and find out why that has happened. I don't have any answer. I can't answer that. Therefore, let's talk about issues on which I have knowledge, you have knowledge, and you can ask a question and I will answer.
24 crops are being purchasing on MSP.
24?
24 crops.
Are they?
Yes, sir.
Are they? Then if
One bar.
have they announced it or actually purchasing? That's what I thought. But our learned friend said, my dear friend said, they are purchasing. I was a little taken by surprise.
Yes, please. One by one.
They
Last
are not
question,
purchasing.
please.
Mr. Saini, just a moment please. Mr. Saini proposes or promises to purchase. Mr. Saini will not be elected, so he can make any promise.
Now why are you supporting Arvind Kejriwal, Aam Aadmi Party? You pointed out the liquor scam. Now why are you supporting him?
Who is supporting Mr. Kejriwal? I have not said a word of support to Mr. Kejriwal. Did I say anything? I did not say that. I said whether Mr. Kejriwal should be chief minister or not is the concern of the people of Delhi. They will react to it. No. I'm answering his question. I have not said anything about supporting or opposing Kejriwal. I'm only pointing out that in Haryana, AAP and Congress do not have an alliance. We are fighting against each other, like we are fighting the BJP.
साहब आपने कहा हरियाणा में 3,78,000 करोड़ जो है 3.78 लाख करोड़ का डेट 2024-25 बजट में हरियाणा विधानसभा में बताया। हरियाणा डेट ट्रैप में कैसे फंस रहा है वो थोड़ा सा क्योंकि आप बताइए तो जीडीपी का ग्रोथ के साथ उसका लिंक नहीं है। कैसे हरियाणा डेट ट्रैप में फंसा है?
Haryana is acting into a debt.
How Haryana entered into a debt trap? By borrowing more than they should borrow. If you borrow, it's no different from personal finances. If you keep on borrowing without your capacity to service that debt and without the revenue resources, you will get into a debt trap. And I think Haryana is in a debt trap. You'll have to come out of the debt trap, but I'm sure the Haryana PCC and the Haryana leadership, and if we are elected to government, the Haryana government of the Congress will find a solution to the debt trap. I'm only pointing out that 10 years of BJP rule have landed Haryana in a debt trap.
Sir, the Jamaat
Thank
and
you.
Engineer Rashid have entered into an alliance. Is this a worry for NC Congress in Kashmir?
We are talking about Haryana elections,
Can
madam.
you also answer question of Karnataka, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Last question,
What?
please.
About Karnataka?
Friends,
He said, he compared Karnataka with Haryana and said about farmer suicides, and then therefore I had to answer about Karnataka. But Jamaat-e-Islami is not in Haryana. Why are we talking about Haryana?
Last question. Please, please.
I don't know. I don't know the crops in Haryana. I don't know the production of crops in Haryana. I will pose this question to the Haryana PCC, and I'm sure they will address this in the manifesto. What I don't know, I don't wish to speak on.
Last question, ma'am. She's asking question regarding the Punjab government. Punjab government is...
When the Punjab elections come and they are inviting me to address a press conference, we'll meet you. This is one of the most interesting press conferences I've had. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
सभी पत्रकार साथियों से निवेदन है कि भोजन करके जाएं वो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।